This is Sybert signing into Red Alert 3 on the map, Infinity Isle on the left side as the Red Soviets. This is PCCM. And on the right side as the Blue Allies, this is Underscore. So the name of this replay is DDF vs. Freeze. But the actual names of the players in game is PCCM, and then this guy is either a bunch of hyphens or a bunch of underscores, I don't remember. So I'll just be saying DDF versus Freeze, because that's easier. Might not actually be DDF, could be someone else, but yeah, we'll just, for the current moment, misalign credit, perhaps, and go with the name that's on the replay, rather than the names that are in-game. Soviets versus Allies, there is someone out there in the audience who is tremendously excited, not by DDF or Freeze or anything like that, but that the Soviets are red and the Allies are blue. That's a fully walled-in airfield. We'll have to see if anything comes of that. Double refinery, so nothing too crazy out of this airfield. Could just be a little bit of extra defense from those walls. Not a lot of peacekeepers here on the front line. They're mostly rallied over towards that third refinery location. Great switch over into the Molotov cocktails. A couple of the Bears going to be headed off to the south to try and head off those peacekeepers, but also a couple of conscripts switching back into that AK-47 mode, not staying in the Molotov cocktail mode. That is not needed for all of them. First Vindicator bombing run going to be eliminating a Bear, and the follow-up is double Bullfrog out of this War Factory before expansion for our Soviet player. Getting started pretty early, but I think we're going to calm down for the next minute or two. Double Vindicator heading out from the airfield, and our Soviet player going to be retreating back to the middle of the map for the current moment. Third refinery on the high ground, going down immediately, and maybe this match isn't going to be slowing down, but I don't know that this is really a particularly strong attack from our allied player. He's going to have to pull something out if he really wants to make those Vindicators and the Peacekeepers do any significant damage. Vindicators sneak by the Bullfrogs, but the Peacekeeper's going to be able to clean up a couple of Bears in the middle of the map. The Dog doing some work, but it does get eliminated. Definitely a positive trade for our allied player. And also always nice when you can sneak a Dog over to the water expansion, block that off from our Soviet player, and stop them from getting that expansion up and running. 3 refineries for each player. Conscript's trying to clean up a couple of these peacekeepers, but Freeze is doing a pretty good job of thinning out those Soviet numbers. Allied efficiency being the name of the game, and as an allied player, that is the game you have to play very well. You never want to be trading evenly with the Soviet or the Empire player. And of course, at the top level, those high-level allied players, they are so good at being efficient with their units that it is very frustrating to play against. And sometimes even at the mid or lower levels, it's very frustrating to play against as well. Again, double Vindicator heading out to the north. No fourth refinery coming up just yet. Could just go for the safe bombing run on the oil derrick. Going to try and cut a little bit farther. MCV potentially repositioning for a Tier 2 tech up. We'll have to see if anything comes of that. The airfield position, you know, no cryocopters, but a good position there on the high ground from the MCV would be able to tag that airfield with that tech up. So nice position on that airfield overall. The walls keeping it alive, keeping it from taking any damage, making it harder to clean up. MCV doesn't get to deploy the terror drone, but going to be able to potentially, in fact, you really want a second terror drone on standby just to be able to stop it from running back to the repairs of that airfield. This does delay the expansion by a good bit, which is a nice move for DDF, but of course, those free repairs on that MCV means he doesn't even have to unpack it for that repair tool and spend the cash on bringing his MCV back up to full health. Well, maybe a little bit, as he didn't stick around in the repairs. So the delay of the expansion and a little bit of damage done to the MCV, but ultimately not the end of the world for our allied player. Akula Sub is now out, gets the insta-kill on one of the Riptides, but the other Riptide will survive. And that hydrofoil actually going to be taking itself off of that weapons jamming mode for just a moment there. Going to be letting that Akula sub slink back down. And I guess, yeah, going down under the water does break the weapons jam, so you can get like another shot off or two. Second Akula sub shows up. May actually have to use its special ability. Yeah, on the hydrofoil. Nicely done there by DDF. Drops some additional naval yards just to keep his active naval yards still around, but we've got a problem for our Soviet player. A 4-refinery allied player is not what you want to be up against as the Soviet guy. Ideally, you want to be up an expansion if you're Soviets against allies, but 4v4 could cause problems for our Soviet friend. Taking down one Vindicator, always nice to be able to do. The Akula sub hoping to clean things up over here on the right side of the map, but I don't know that one Akula sub is going to be able to break this position, at least not for the current moment. Second Akula sub with special ability might be able to clean up the hydrofoil and then do some damage, cut down one of those refineries, but I feel the longer this goes on, where these two guys are in lockstep on refineries, Allies and Soviets, the worse that it gets for our Soviet player. That's not always true, but generally that is the case. So we'll have to see exactly how Mr. PCCM, a.k.a. DDF, manages to deal with that. Striking down one hydrofoil is nice. Second hydrofoil is still here, and one Akula gets eliminated. The MiGs not really doing their job, not really doing too much in this game, and I don't know that we have a Crusher Crane out just yet. Hydrofoil going to be able to take down the MiG very nicely, but it trades out its life, which means the Akula sub, the Terror drone, and even the Twin Blade in the sky going to be relatively uncontested by those Riptides. Naval Yard not being rebuilt. We watched it go down just a minute or two ago, and no Crusher Crane also. But 5th Refinery now going to be coming up for DDF. Getting a Tesla coil as well. No need to rebuild that naval yard and spend money on Akula subs if you just build a Tesla coil. At least that is the hope. Cryocopters are out. Tier 2 is up and running for our allied player. And potentially Tier 3 on the way, but we'll have to see. I don't know that he actually even has a defense bureau, but no. So I don't think he's going for that maximum clearance just yet. Another naval yard going to be coming down. Terror drone trying to do some kind of damage. Cryocopter going to be scaring that away. 5th Refinery up and running that dong, delaying that for the better part of the game, but it's up and running now, so we'll have to see what happens. Naval yard on the low ground, the very southern tip of the island there, and we'll have to see if our allied player is actually going to be able to sneak anything out there. Of course, anytime there's an allied player teching up, getting that naval yard, you gotta wonder about aircraft carriers parachuting war bears, the terror of all allied players. And you gotta give it to Freeze, keeping his units out of that civilian structure so that they are not easily picked off by those conscripts. And actually, no, it's just going to be a prospector for now. No aircraft carriers, of course, no Tier 3 just yet from our allied player. Still waiting on that tech up from him. Cryocopters not being crazy useful this game yet. Fairly conservative play with the Cryocopters overall from Freeze. If the replay is to be believed, a guy with the name of Freeze should really be doing a little bit more freezing. Well, there we go. We have eventually teched up, and that can only mean aircraft carriers shouldn't be too far along behind that Tier 3, but is our Soviet player ready for them? I would think distinctly not. We'll have to see if he's able to wheedle something out. 5 Twin Blades, that's a force that can deal with some aircraft carriers, so definitely not the end of the world. Flak Cannon taking a bit of damage there, and this refinery finally going down, so it is going to be 5 refineries versus 3, perhaps soon to be 4 over here, but 5 refineries versus 4 isn't the worst thing if you're the Soviet player either, and you do have to hand it to DDF. He's been reasonably efficient. Not necessarily always coming out ahead in those engagements, but overall doing quite well. Aegis Shield does get popped And that Athena cannon gets eliminated. The freeze locks nothing down, and the Apollo gets eliminated as there is no front line for our Tier 3 allied player. And no EMP coming in from that aircraft carrier to stop the ground forces. Twin Blades continuing to tear through unit after unit. Most of the all of the hammer tanks with this freeze going off, all of the hammer tanks being eliminated, so there isn't actually a ground army left for our Soviet player either. Weakened ground army for our allied player, but no ground army for the Soviet. And even another twin blade going down. 2 twin blades at the last second being eliminated. Cleaning up the expansion out on the water is a great thing for DDF, but losing almost the entirety of your land and air army is maybe less optimal than you would like. Still no aircraft carrier from our allied player, at least not that I see, and still no expansion, but perhaps bigger things to worry about in the current moment than getting out that aircraft carrier. I really thought with that naval yard in the south, his one goal was going to be aircraft carriers because they are such a powerful and versatile unit, but a couple of assault destroyers, or maybe just one assault destroyer, hydrofoil, riptide, and a dolphin. A good combo as well. And, well, the Dolphin gets eliminated before really doing all that much. Vindicator even going to be coming in for a bit of a bombing run before escaping away. And the Kula subs do surface to clean up this naval yard. And it looks like no aircraft carrier, so I'm completely wrong on that one. Too bad for Freeze that he can't EMP and freeze and be the ultimate allied guy, EMPing and freezing. Riptide does go down. Cryocopter's taking a lot of damage from the Bullfrogs. Going to be able to keep that Tesla coil safe, at least for the current moment. Could try and swing in a little bit later once the Bullfrogs are gone. Maybe a little Cryocopter Vindicator action, as is so common for allied players. Great move with this Terror Drone just on land, and then sinking the Assault Destroyer with the Akula subs. Great combo coming out from DDF. Our Soviet player doing a very good job on the defense, just constantly spreading out with these now almost 5 refineries re-established. Spreading out, but also a little bit of attacking, lots of defense. A little bit of attacking on the ground, a little bit of attacking on the water, and more successful on the water, but holding the line on the ground. 3 Mirage tanks, and Athena cannon. It's a scary army with the cryocopters, but this is certainly not an unstoppable force. This is definitely a high damage output, but not a lot of armor kind of a force. 2 hammer tanks, but a healthy 7 hammer blades? Twin blades. I was thinking hammerheads from Kane's Wrath, and then I was like, hammer tanks and hammerheads. They really didn't try on the namings, but of course it's twin blades. We've all done it, and in this case, it's not a misplaced refinery like when I place a refinery poorly, but this is just more of a quick and dirty solution for a player who's much better than that. I think we did see a Crusher Crane at some point. Oh yeah, Crusher Crane over there. So we do have the potential for repairs. MCV still hanging out on the water. Second Crusher Crane as well, way out there on the water. So that's a decent amount of cash invested in repairs, as we haven't seen a lot of dual build queue coming up. All right, this is where the rubber meets the road for our allied player. He's been underperforming for the last couple of minutes, but can he pull something out here? Cryocopters, Apollos, Vindicators, and Athena Cannons, all great tools for an allied player to turn a kind of misguided, middle-performing day into a resounding victory. So we'll see if he's able to make it happen. Was that a couple of... I don't know what he just donated there, like Terror Drones or Bullfrogs. I'm not sure what he just donated to himself to get a little bit of a cash boost. maybe his 4.5 refinery economy isn't working out as well as he would like. And we'll just take a quick moment to appreciate the oil derricks, which have survived this whole game, as the hammer tank's going to be charging forward. Cryo shot firing off, forcing them to move even further forward, directly into the Athena cannons, directly into the Mirage tanks, and the Peacekeepers and the rocket troopers doing a good amount of damage, as well as only 3 hammer tanks surviving for the current moment. But there's not much left on the ground for our allied player either, so if the Twin Blades could get in there and do any real damage, but they're a little bit too scared. They're trying to draw the Mirage tanks and the Javelin troopers into the hammer tanks, into the Bears. If he's able to get a roar off or 2, that might be enough to swing things into his favor. Another cryocopter going down, only 2 remain, and they have not been dramatically helpful in this case. Mirage tanks standing strong, eating up Bears and flak troopers, but it's not enough to stop the hammer tanks as they chew the last Mirage tank down. A Guardian tank retreating away, both sides bruised but not broken, as the Bear claims a kill and gets himself a veteran status. Heyo. That is what we like to see, a Dreadnought taking down refineries. And yeah, maybe it's about to be smashed by a cryocopter or 2. Although, are there any cryocopters left? Yes, there are 2 cryocopters left, so a little shrink down, a little freeze action, and the Vindicator is standing by. That's a double vet Dreadnought that's going to possibly be passing off heroic status to this Vindicator. Goodbye, Dreadnought. Is the Stop Micro with us? The Stop Micro is with us. Perfect execution there by Freeze, and a couple of Bullfrogs, a couple of MiGs can potentially stop that from happening, but when you're strapped for cash, as I assume DDF is, those extra units to try and protect your Dreadnoughts can be so hard to justify. In this case, killing 1 refinery may actually be worth it. 8 grand still left in that refinery, 6.5 on that one, and you have to hand it to DDF, doing a good job of keeping this allied player on his heels. Does DDF have the strength to walk across the map and just kill the guy? Probably not. But he's done a really good job of denying that allied efficiency, of denying him that super cost-effective cryocopter engagements, and drawing this game out a little bit longer. 13 grand left in that refinery, and surely our Soviet refinery is going to be drying up relatively soon as well. Only 10 grand remaining in the main base, and the oil derrick getting sniped by the Athena cannons would be frustrating, but is it worth giving away 3 Twin Blades for? Well, it might not be, and the Athena cannon survives with just a pixel of health. Splits off the low health Twin Blade to try and save the other Twin Blade. You know, the hope is that the high health Twin Blade gets the 1 shot off that's needed and escapes barely with its life, but the calculus was just a little bit wrong there for DDF, and he ends up with a dead Twin Blade, but not a dead Kirov. We'll have to see. This is a lot of Javelin troopers, a lot of IFVs putting a ton of damage onto that Kirov before it ever gets close to dropping a bomb. And that would kind of be great if you could shrink down Kirovs to get them on top of the opponent that much more quickly. The Kirov goes down without ever doing anything, crashes to the ground as the APOC tanks resize to their full bone-crushing appearance, except for that little guy who's still just a mini, still just hanging around in that small size. Oh, actually 2 of them. They really sneak up on you, those APOC tanks. 1 Mirage tank, a healthy amount of infantry, and 3 cryocopters. 3 shrink rays right out of the bat, and then a couple of short seconds later, a couple more shrink rays. Iron Curtain is one way to try and swing things back into your favor, but this is an expensive expansion to lose. He doesn't have enough Vindicators to clean it all up in one go, but he can get most of the expensive stuff just right there. Nice drop of the reactor, maintains the build radius, and I guess everything else is going to get cleaned up by the Riptide. Fully heroic Riptide, going to be cleaning up these flak cannons, possibly before they even fire a shot. And that is the saddest cleanup of a Soviet expansion that perhaps we shall ever see. That was cost efficient. That was almost disgustingly cost efficient. Those 4 cryocopters, they do cost quite a bit, but man, did they level that entire expansion fast. Nice help by the Cryogeddon support power. But that means you don't have it for the next couple of minutes, as you've got these APOC tanks potentially knocking on your door. He may just wait the remaining 80 seconds until that Iron Curtain is ready to go. Still rocking the 4 refineries. I think at this point a couple of them are depleted. Nope, just barely not depleted. So the last couple of loads of fully loaded ore going to be doled out over the next minute or so. Although still 10 grand out here on the water. Again, good job by DDF denying his opponent the use of those many, many expansions. 45 seconds to go, assuming that the Iron Curtain is the thing he's wanting. Kirov leading the charge, and then realizing that might be a bad idea. Where'd that engineer come from? Is that an MCV cell engineer? No, it wasn't. Okay. So the Conyard is still there. I don't know where that engineer came from. Both oil derricks still out on the map. You got to hand it to these guys. They have managed to keep their oil derricks around for a long time. Low power mode, you may not actually get a better opportunity than this. I know 10 seconds until the Iron Curtain actually fires off, but it looks like there's going to be the Desolator airstrike coming in, trying to force the units back into the Desolator airstrike. The engineer right on the edge of those toxins, just barely not dying as a Mirage tank gets eaten up very easily. Power is back online for our allied player. This airfield also being around for a long, long time. Fully heroic Riptide going to be getting taken down by that terror drone. And I guess that'll probably hand off a fully heroic status to that terror drone as well. Another V4, another water-based V4, I guess you could say. Another Dreadnought going to be produced, and there goes the Riptide right at the front. Well, Cryogeddon, it is here to stay. Couple of Kirovs pushing their way to the front line. Bullfrog and some APOCs about to get frozen and made into mincemeat, but the Kirovs trying to clear away the infantry from shredding these APOC tanks as one Peacekeeper breaks through the front line, crushing APOC after APOC, maybe even Bullfrog after Bullfrog. And slowly but surely the Allied front line breaks. Has the cryo been enough? The answer on the ground, maybe yes, but the answer in the air, maybe no, as that APOC tank narrowly doesn't kill that IFP, and that may be the saving grace of this Allied player. Both players losing tremendous amounts, but perhaps the infrastructure will be too much, or this Kirov will just go down, having not accomplished anything else. Dropping bombs just because you can't make it anywhere else. And he just burned a lot of health trying to get somewhere, but it was just a mistake. Couldn't quite make it to the airfield. Crash and burn onto the slopes. The Bullfrogs did survive, but the rest of that attack mostly evaporated, taking with it infantry, I think. Ooh, Spectrum Tower down on the low ground. Probably a good position for that. The huge cryocopter armada has indeed survived the day. 5 cryocopters cruising around, 30 seconds left on that Iron Curtain, and 1 minute and 10 left on the Chronosphere. That's going to be a hard army to replenish, especially now that, like, 3 of the ore nodes are depleted. Our Soviet player is going to have to find a different path forward, perhaps. He is going to go ahead and grab that observation post. And that is not a MCV cell engineer. He's going to take that 9,750 ore node down on the water. Go ahead and establish himself down there, which is good. That'll give him 13,000 credits of fairly active mining to collect over the next couple of minutes. A couple of conscripts trying to cause some problems behind enemy lines. This would be a great diversion tactic, but there isn't really much on the front line to clean up these other units. Either that engineer didn't actually capture that observation post, or Freeze spent the cash to recapture the observation post. I'm not exactly sure who's winning out when they trade the observation post like that. Extremely strapped for cash. Well, Riptide going to be trying to cut through the defenses of DDF, and does he have Twin Blades or something to respond? The answer is yes. The Riptide is going to try and skate on out of there. Chronosphere is ready to go, so we'll have to see if he's able to transport something of his into his opponent's base, or transport a couple of his opponent's things onto the cliffs or into the water, whatever it may be. I guess you could just steal harvesters, transport them onto the cliffs, or, you know, I don't know if they can actually escape if you put them there. But yeah, try and put them right onto the cliffs. Satellites getting called down onto this chronosphere. Toxins onto the prospector, I assume. Almost kills the chronosphere, but doesn't quite get it. Couple of Twin Blades suiciding on it might be the thing to do. Sells off the naval yard, rebuilds another one flak cannon potentially going down. This is so many cryocopters finally earning his namesake, Freeze, trying to freeze his way to victory. And, well, at least DDF gets a little bit of the cash back for that. Tanya is here. Perhaps in an IFV or a Riptide teleported into this area might be good. Little ABC 1, 2, 3 kind of action there for Tanya. Iron Curtain fires off. Oh, the Twin Blades! Suicidal run didn't work out. Did not actually work. Tanya is here, and Tanya gets eliminated by a terror drone. Unfortunately, the IFV may not escape either, but the Iron Curtain did go down, and the terror drone will get the kill. Terror drone saving the day for our Soviet player. Dropping a super reactor to body block for a refinery. Well, I guess that is one way to do it. It gives you a decent amount of health at a, you know, if you cancel it, no cost, but, doesn't seem like the best strategy. Seems like a move of desperation, perhaps. Reactor is here to try and maintain some kind of build radius. Super reactor, I assume, got canceled safely by our Soviet player. And the Riptide won't quite get the kill on that reactor, so build radius will be maintained, at least for now. Terror drones coming to DDF's aid, and, well, it took a long time, but it's finally here. The first aircraft carrier has arrived. The carrier group is reporting, and unfortunately for our Soviet player, he has spent a huge amount of cash and has been unable to cripple Freeze. So he now gets to deal with this aircraft carrier, and he doesn't necessarily have the tools he's looking for. Delay, actually he could kill it because he has 2 terror drones, but you can of course delay with 1 terror drone. That is a definite tactic. Infinity Isle is small enough that if the aircraft carrier has high health, you can usually make it back to the naval yard, although sinking the naval yard with an Akula sub would be a pretty good move overall. A couple of Apollos and a Vindicator going to be keeping an eye on this aircraft carrier as it moves into position to return those Dreadnought bombing runs as a favor to the Soviet player. Going to be able to clean up this refinery eventually. It will take a minute. EMP going to lock down almost every single Bullfrog, and it's a combo move. This is a cryo EMP shockwave blasting through this Soviet base. One, what? We didn't, I don't know that he actually killed that many that many bullfrogs, but it turns out the assault destroyer is going to be here to finish the job, to pick off these bullfrogs one by one while the aircraft carrier continues to power away at that refinery. And goodbye assault destroyer, but I think it's also going to be goodbye, well, maybe the flak cannons first and then the assault, then the refinery after that. Wait, Natasha's here. Wouldn't it be amazing if he sniped the aircraft carrier and then took it over? That would be a pretty sick move. I believe that would be what they call a pro gamer move, if you did manage to do that. 6 cryocopters still sharking around the map. Speaking of, wow, that's 20 grand out in that ore node. Way, way out there. Single dolphin also sharking around the waters, or, you know, looking for something to do. Oh, this is terrible. An ore collector offline. I don't know if that's a bug or if he told it to stop because it was going to get attacked by something, or, you know. There are legitimate reasons to tell an ore collector to stop. And unfortunately, it looks like DDF forgot to put that guy back to work. Cryocopters jumping on top of this flak cannon, going to be jumping on top of this naval yard. The 20th time that a naval yard has been constructed by DDF, and Freeze is freezing it. Twin Blade's going to be able to take down that Dolphin as well, so naval yard and Dolphin both going down. Both teams scoring a little bit of a victory there, but not much of a victory either way. Is that a sentry gun? I'm not actually sure what he was trying to construct there. Finally, the ore collector is back online, going to be getting some work done. Natasha jumping inside that bullfrog? Nope, bullfrog going right past Natasha. This is no kind of sneaky move to try and sneak past enemy lines and do something sneaky. That's 4 bullfrogs just jumped into the enemy base. That chronosphere being used somewhat offensively. I believe you can also chronosphere them onto buildings, and if not buildings, you can chronosphere them onto cliffs. And once again, the observation post does change hands. 2 bullfrogs do manage to escape from the allied base, and they do also scout this ore refinery, so it's actually kind of a benefit. Toxins getting called down and satellites raining down upon nothing because whatever it was got sold off. Although that Peacekeeper does some somersaults just for effect, because you got to show how cool it is. Terror Drone gets eliminated by the Vindicator. I believe that's our fully heroic Vindicator from killing that double vet Dreadnought much, much earlier in this game. Red observation post seeing those low-power defenses, but also seeing the Engineer heading to that observation post. So much cash has been expended by these guys who really don't have that much cash to give away in capturing that observation post. You'd think either one of them would have just eliminated it at this point. And speaking of capturable structures, this must be the longest in a 1v1 that oil derricks have survived in a like competitive level 1v1. This is a long time for oil derricks, for both oil derricks to be alive. Aircraft carrier in the south being escorted by, it looks like, Apollos, hydrofoils, and potentially a ton of cryocopters, which will freeze anything that tries to get close to do any real damage. Oh, that was the precision time bomb. The precision bomber or the time bomb, one of the two, in combination with each other, perhaps. But doing damage to those structures, trying to blow a hole right through Infinity Isle. Natasha jumps out of that bullfrog and dodges every single shot from that aircraft carrier. That aircraft carrier is staying out of range of Natasha very nicely. You do not want to give any free shots to her. Double War Factory. I actually didn't realize he was... Wait, is this... So with the mass production upgrade, you can't get more... I guess you can? This... I mean, he has to be doing this for a reason, right? So he has the mass production upgrade, which I think makes stuff cost 20% less. It might just be vehicles cost 20% less. But this is a little bit silly. 675, so it's neutral. But you get terror drones, which give you 450. So it is income positive. Okay, so that is something. I didn't realize that. So the terror drones make this income positive. The combination of the mass production upgrade with terror drone surprise means that you never lose money and you occasionally gain money, which is pretty wild. Also, I guess you could combine that with cashback bounty with like a big group of sickles. This is a bit like in Red Alert 2 when you get the, ooh, another time bomb going to be firing off here. Spawns in there. This is the level 1 time bomb, and we'll do a bit of damage to these structures, but they both do survive. Now, that being said, this is a bit like Red Alert 2 with the grinder. When you're playing Yuri's Revenge, you got the grinder, and then you got the genetic mutator. You build a whole bunch of whatever Yuri's basic unit is called, like the Psyops or whatever. And then you turn them into brutes, and then you get cash back. And it's fairly effective, at least in the longer games. But not necessarily if you don't have the time to do huge numbers of those units. Get yourself a terror drone, and this is a triple war factory setup coming out from our Soviet player. And that is, you know, secondary economy. He's making it work. He's got depleted ore refineries, like only 2 of them. Oh, he did lose his oil derrick. That's sad. I didn't actually notice when that happened. It would be something if he was doing something with this situation, but he's just building more war factories to power his sickle psycho machine. And he's not doing anything with it. He's trying to survive until he can get enough cash to do something, but presently he's not doing anything. And unfortunately for us, that means what started out as a fairly... Is he going to try and magnetic satellite this guy? He gets the refinery anyways. Oh, magnetic singularity, of course. And he chrono swaps! He chrono swaps the aircraft carrier with a Riptide, which is like something that has never happened. Who chrono swaps? I mean, you can, obviously, you just saw it. Like, it can be a saving grace kind of thing, but I've never actually seen a chrono swap. EMP locks down every single one of those bullfrogs, and the Apollos may be even able to catch a twin blade or 2. The Vindicator just massacring those bullfrogs, and goodbye more and more sickles, which this may actually affect the graphs at the end of the game that say, you know, like how many units were created and lost. Because if these count as lost units, then these terror drones, if they don't count as created, he's going to have like an extra 100 units lost more than he created. And that's a free infect on an aircraft carrier. This game has been going on long enough that a guy just walked an aircraft carrier to a drone, and then it ran inside of it, and now we're surprised. But, so at least we got this. We get to see Quad War Factory producing sickles. But again, no, this is Penta. This is 5 war factories producing sickles. I guess you also... No, he doesn't even have twin blades queued up. I thought he would have twin blades queued up, so then he's also, like, producing bullfrogs and sickles at the same time. But no. It's just the one thing. DDF gets the refinery. I'm now questioning the name of this replay, if it is actually DDF. It is quite a funny situation, baby Bert. Oh, they got that multi-gunner turret, didn't they? And I guess it's another time bomb, took down those walls. And eventually someone will do something in this game. We can all hope. So I guess 5 war factories is about enough production that you're pretty regularly pumping out terror drones. Did he just chrono swap again? This guy has chrono swapped more than anyone else in the history of the game combined with this chrono swap that he's doing with this aircraft carrier. And I mean, you gotta hand it to the guy. He's the only one who's ever found a legitimate use for it. Teleporting aircraft carriers to the opposite side of Infinity Isle so that you can keep bombing the Soviet player. So this is what we're reduced to. The Allied player has virtually everything everywhere, and the Soviet player is kind of playing SimCity. He is playing Red Alert 2 SimCity, though, so he's not tremendously interested in doing anything. And the Allied player has decided that engineers might be his best course of action. And when engineers are your best course of action, you're either in the real world or the game has gone horribly, horribly wrong. I don't even know what that was. I guess it was a prospector. Yeah, it was a prospector trying to set up a thing. Well, this is what we've got. I hope you're happy. This is 2021 for you. Ah, we got two that time. That was serendipitous. That was double sickle, double terror drone. It's just coming out even. And literally the Allied guy, well, he did chronosphere this stuff, onto the MCV, gets the kill on the MCV, damages one of the war factories as well, and this is the most action, an MCV getting sniped by way overwhelming firepower from the Allied player. And he's still just building sickles. One Athena cannon gets sniped. Yeah, you didn't think to bring anything to jump inside of a sniped Athena cannon, did you? You think you're so smart with your attacking units and your strategy to kill the other guy. But Natasha can snipe one unit. So I'm not even mad because the cryocopters haven't even factored into the last 25 minutes of this game, so they pulled some real shenanigans earlier in this match, some real cost efficiency nonsense, but they have not done much. All right, one carrier group going down in the north on the island there before the Apollos show up, and we are saved from the insanity. Check out that resource graph. Ladies and gentlemen, you will never see anything like this again. We can only hope. This is the new strategy. Every game is League of Legends. It's 45 minutes long if it's short. And if it's proper length, you're looking at 2 hours a match. All right. 0.18 efficiency. Thank you for that iPad, baby Bert. Ugh. Do you have anything to say? No, I have nothing to say either. Okay, they can't see you shrug your shoulders. They really can't. Ladies and gentlemen, you've got a new strategy to terrify those dirty, dirty Allied players. Go forth and cause chaos, like the chaos that they have caused you with their shiny, shiny freezy bits. Just go and be terrible unto one another. That is my only option. That is my only quest for 2021. Thank you all very much for watching. If you weren't entertained, I understand. But thanks for watching anyways. Oh my gosh, this graph is ridiculous. Alright, 42 minutes. We don't get that time back. You guys have the fast forward button, but I didn't. Not really. Anyways, 628 units lost, 355 created. Yikes. Thank you all very much for watching. This is Sybert signing out.